On today's episode of Plugged Into Programming, we're going to go over 4 things that I think are critically important for anyone who is trying to learn computer programming, especially when you're applying it towards an online product or business. So we're going to get right to it.
If you are motivated to learn to code the 21st century web, from plugin products to micro-SaaS, welcome to the Plugged Into Programming Show, with your host and professor, Jamie Rowe. Jamie is a computer engineer and solo founder of the wpplugincollege.com. And now, over to you, Professor Jamie.
Now, many of you may know that I'm a computer engineer by profession and education, but I started programming actually in 4th grade, and I'm an OG, old guy, but I've been programming like almost my entire life, and in some language or another. And I won't even talk about right now what I started programming with, because it didn't have even a CRT screen at the time. But one thing I've learned is that the technology changes over time, but some concepts are critically important to understand, and there's more than just ideas and learning syntax or language techniques or something. So I'm going to go over 4 elements that I think are important for learning anything and mastering anything. So let's get right to that. And what I'm calling the 4 C's. So we have concepts, creativity, coding, and coaching. And we'll get right to the concepts here. We need to have new ways of thinking, and you have to expose your mind to new ideas and new people, new ways of doing things. And this is a very left brain thing I'm talking about here. If you don't have the symbology or language needed to express a concept, it's not going to even exist in your lexicon of options. And one way to look at this is you can't open doors or opportunities if you can't even see the doors. So language is a very interesting thing, not just computer languages, but human languages, in that we need to share with each other and try to bridge that knowledge gap. And so all of my online courses and the elements of these shows and everything I'm going to always try to show some concepts, because I think that, even the most weathered and long-time programmer in some area of programming and technology is going to learn something new all the time by listening to others. And the next element that's really important is creativity. This is the right brain part of us. And I was just able to go to an event, and there was a young man that was speaking from about his career so far, and he is at Microsoft and is involved in synthetic learning or artificial intelligence. And they're actually utilizing artists and artistic approaches to teaching the AI. So one of the things that he emphasized was creativity, which I really resonated with me, because this is one of the key elements, I believe, of any type of learning. And I believe that this is one of the things that is so lacking in our education system right now, especially. We often drill out of people, their creative impulses, because it doesn't fit in with the old models of, the factory model of education, and even in work, because at work should be an extension of your education. And any place that doesn't encourage you to learn new things is not a good place to work. Because it's really beneficial to your employers that you keep learning, especially in technology areas. We need to really be able to reprogram ourselves. So I'm talking about, programming computers and making online businesses and products, but we really have to approach this. This is inside of us. and one of the things you have to do is give yourself permission and the time to play and explore. If you find something that really excites you, I would say pursue that. I often hear, online business people talking about, you don't have to follow your passion in order to make a product and a company and all that. But you know what? In computer programming, I think you really do need to follow your passions. Yes, we can all sit here and program something that we're asked to do. But when you are following a thread of excitement down that trail, it's more of a game than it is a work task. And that's the mode that you can really learn the most in. So now the next thing is coding, of course. In computer languages and the development tools, that's how we express our computer programs. Also, obviously, you need to learn those tools, that technology. But the coding part of it, the programming part of it really starts inside of us. Again, you're programming in your head before you start, even typing on a keyboard or anything. So one of the things I've found just absolutely amazes me, and also I feel is very detrimental to our society and economy as a whole, is that most people out there are not like you. You're actually following along and trying to learn programming, or already know programming, trying to learn some other things to help you do things that you want to accomplish. But most people think programming is beyond their understanding and their skills. And this, of course, is so counterproductive, because we need technology people that are willing to try new things. And I can only put this down to poor teaching and, unfortunately, some bad teachers out there. I think what happens is either our education system, and this can go from middle school and high schools all the way into college programs. I've seen things where the instructors are so far behind, because they kind of left that world, or maybe never even entered the world of professional programming or something. And they get handed a book and said, you're teaching programming today. And they may be great and it may work out fantastic, or they might just not be good at it, or might not have that passion for it. And, when you're sitting there as a student and the teacher's no good at what you're doing, it's very discouraging. And I think a lot of people just lose it. I think everyone has that capability of understanding programming if they're approached with it in the right way. So one thing about coding or programming is you need to embrace all the languages that are involved in whatever you're doing. You don't have to lock into one thing out there, or one framework, or one, even operating system or whatever. Sometimes we get polarized, I think, in our programming community. And so there's, Android programmers, and there's Java programmers and JavaScript programmers and PHP and, .NET, and just goes on and on, C#, whatever. Everybody's so specialized. But one of the things that I found over, not just recently, but for years, is this whole no code and low code movement. And that's really, you hear about it all the time now. Before, it was just some people that were trying to develop, innovative systems and new types of interfaces. I don't believe that you can really, discredit or discount that no code and low code, tools out there. It can amplify your efforts. I still believe that you need to have the actual coding skills to get an edge, but and to make things happen that the no code and low code don't implement well. But we can embrace all of the ways of programming, because really the no code and the low code, they're just interfaces into languages that some programmer has created this interface so that you don't have to type some syntax and don't have to do these different things. You might be clicking on things and dragging and dropping and creating diagrams, or who knows. There's going to be a lot of changes in the future. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I watch Star Trek my entire life, and they always talk to their computers just like we talk to our Alexa devices today. And I can see it, in the future, we'll be coding by talking. And, we can just expect new languages and new interfaces and new ways to get things done. Okay, and this fourth and final of the C's is coaching. This is something that I have often, encountered in my career, usually in the form of a mentor. I've had the good fortune of having some people mentor me over my career, and also I've been able to be a mentor to others. This is something that I think is really important, and I know, especially people who are solo founders, solo programmers out there, like I've been doing. You can just be so isolated that it's difficult to. It's a difficult thing that you're trying to do, and really having some people encourage you, give you some advice and things, that's really helpful. So I think a good coach is someone who sees the inner strengths in someone and helps to bring those out. So I don't know if I've ever had a coach in sports. Or maybe somebody like a business coach or something. I remember the first time I ever had a professional coach help me with some online project that I was doing at the time, and she needed some technology help, so we traded. We bartered our skills, and I just remember sitting there and telling her what I was working on, and she just asked a couple of questions that just flipped everything upside down. And I was just dumbfounded that somebody could ask me a question and make me think of my problem in such a different way, but it helped me to find solutions. And so it's always stuck with me how important that is. So it's helping people with practical things, and just encouraging somebody when things seem bleak or we seem weak. I think as a programmer, we often want to be, we don't want to share our weaknesses with others, especially, with our code or our projects that we're working on. But, a mutual support system, if you can find other people online or in person that are working on these things, I've often found that it's much better to get support from that type of person who is familiar with the kinds of things you're doing than just somebody who isn't into this stuff, because it's difficult for people to understand what we are trying to accomplish with computer programming and online, startups and bootstrapping and all these different things. But one of the things I really want to make clear in all of my work with you is that I'm going to be a coach and a mentor as much as I can. So just to recap, we have the concepts, the creativity, the coding, and the coaching. And those are the 4 C's. And I hope to see you at wpplugincollege.com. And if you like this episode, please, you can come to the wpplugincollege.com blog and leave comments and questions. And love to hear from you, and I'll see you soon.
To join our conversation and get the show notes, please visit us at the wpplugincollege.com.